You got that salad face going, buddy. You all right?
What is that?
I don't know. Like you're still chopping on some salad in the back of your teeth there.
No, I got a little snack.
Okay. For later,
It's a salad.
you just keep it in your teeth.
No, in a bowl.
No,
Like, it's a
that's
bowl.
what the beard is for. Come on.
Yeah, good call.
I'm too lazy to hold things with my hands. Yeah, so just prepare to. It'll be great. It'll be perfect.
Y'all motherfuckers don't watch us play throughout the year, to tell you the truth. I'm gonna be real with you, and I don't care if I get fined.
That train is off the track.
I feel like you can't just like jump through Neptune and be okay.
Just prepare to.
What the show needs is more dogs and bears and chickens and stuff.
Yeah, so just prepare to be awash in unbeatable goodness. Welcome, Pacers fans. You are listening to the Undebeatables, your semi-weekly Pacers podcast. Today is September 16th, 2018. This is episode 333, comedy from Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm your host, Joey Gafrida. This week, we got one thing on tap. Colson is updating his top 25 Pacers of all time, and we're not sure how many players will be on it this time, but I'm excited to get into it. Joining me are our analysts coast to coast, like buttered toast. First from the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., it's the doctor, Jason Triplett.
What is up, Pacers fans? What is up, Undebeatables? Shana Tova. Happy New Year. Yeah, looking forward to hearing Colson's changes here. Where will Joe Young fall in the top 25? He's got to be up there.
From Indianapolis, Indiana, he's our in-house bartender mixing up the drinks and the crappy jingles, John Colson.
What is up, Pacer Nation? So glad to be with you guys. Shout out to the Carolinas. As you all know, I lived there for 7 years and have a lot of friends and family and friends' parents that live in New Bern and Wilmington and Raleigh and Charleston. So I hope everybody's staying safe. And yeah.
When FEMA tells you to get out, you should please just go.
Yeah. It's no good. It's gonna be a long time preparing all that stuff. So, but I hope everybody's safe and they can start the process once it stops raining, if it ever stops raining. So.
From Eugene, Oregon, out west, it's our enforcer, John Harper.
What's going on, fellas? Glad to have everybody at the table. Should be interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks to you guys doing the Where That Player At show last week. It was quite entertaining. And
did you learn some stuff, Joe?
I did, and I did. There was more movement than I thought had happened. So it was an educational show as well as informative.
That's how we advertise ourselves, right? Educational
Those
as well as
distinct
informative.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Entertainment,
yes.
nowhere to be seen.
yeah, I was gonna say.
Not funny, not interesting.
Definitely needed two adjectives, but that wasn't going to be one of them.
High praise from Joey.
Yes. Before we start the show, I just want to remind you that you can support us anytime you shop at Amazon. If you just follow the link in the show notes or go to our website, theundebeatables.com, and follow the referral link. Kicks a few bucks back to us and help support what we do.
Joey, if you like the Where That Player At, you should also check out our other podcast, Undebeatable. We just read names from the phone book. And they're fun. It's both educational and informative. Mostly just informative.
It's mostly just information that's being passed.
Edu-formal.
So about 3 years ago, John Colson put out over a span of I think 5 weeks put his top 25 favorite player lists out, and it was pretty controversial at the time. I think we've come a long way as a society, and we can accept what he had said back in those days. But times have changed, players have changed. You're older and wiser, and it's time for an update, Colson. So this illustrious list, can you tell us a little bit about the history and what it takes to make your top 25?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we talked before that it's a fluid list, and over the last 3 years, a lot of things have changed. But there are some things that help get you on this list, and I wanted to speak directly to the current Pacers right now about how to get on the top 25 list. All right. So 4 of the players on this list played their entire careers with the Pacers. So if you want to play your entire career with that, that's a way to maybe get on this list. Spoiler alert: there's going to be no Steve Stepanovich on here, but outside of that, it's pretty good.
So it's
pretty
not a
good
guarantee.
Odds. No, it's not a guarantee. It's pretty good odds though. 6 players have left and come back, so that's a good odds that you'll get on this list. 17 played 6 or more seasons with the Pacers, so longevity definitely matters. 13 were originally drafted by the Pacers, so I think that just shows how a small market team drafting its players matters to me.
So the highest correlation is beyond their control.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Tyreek. You're out.
Only 4 players were off-season signings. So
sorry, Tyreek.
and Monte Ellis, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was on the bubble.
Yeah. 14 front court players versus 11 back court. So it's fairly close, but if you're a big man, that helps you.
So just like in life, being tall
it does help you make a basketball squad, right? But I mean, I think that's fairly fair.
It's unfairly unfair, I would say.
Maybe I should save this for the end. Yeah, this is a revelation, I think, at the end that I just realized. So we'll have a big reveal at the end on how to get on this list that I didn't realize until retroactively last night, looking up these players, found a corollary among all of the players, and I will reveal that at the end. So stay tuned.
At some point.
Now you have to slog through this pod to get to the meat.
All right, well, 25, number 1's easy, guys. It's Reggie Miller.
Reggie.
Reggie Miller leads our team in all the things: games, minutes, field goal attempts,
3-pointers,
2-pointers,
assists, steals,
true shooting percentage, offensive rating, defensive win shares, not defensive rating.
Wait, so I'm unclear here, Harper. Are you dictating what Colson's list should be because
No,
you did such
no.
a horrible job last time? You just took over the reins. You're like, look, buddy, your list is this. I know I'm doing this for your good.
I released this to Harper early because I felt like he needed to help corral me.
That's not at all. His password's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just went on the tip.
I will add that Reggie Miller is 20th all-time in points in the NBA and second all-time in threes. And he's one of 5 players to spend his entire career on a team with at least 18 years. So,
also a 5-time All-Star and in the Hall of Fame.
Ooh, yeah. Just a minor note. Hall of Famer. That's not hard to defend. He's the greatest Pacer ever.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. We all love Reggie, and
if you don't,
stats and
I'll meet you out back
for a long discussion.
That's right.
I do not want to know where out back of the internet is. That's a scary place.
Wait, what is that?
It's like the dark web, but worse.
Oh,
Dark web woodshed. You don't want to mess with that stuff.
All right. So who's number 2?
Colson's second all-time favorite Pacer is Antonio Davis.
All right, still holding strong.
Strong.
Yep.
AD.
He's a giant human.
He is. Played
Played
6
for us.
seasons.
Yep, 6 seasons, 9 points, 6.5 rebounds. Made an all-star game once upon a time.
6.5 rebounds? That's
Yeah.
it?
I mean, he was the backup center and backup power forward.
good
Like, he
point.
never started for us unless of the exception of injuries. But what did he play, like 24 minutes a game for us? I mean, he was an integral part of that team for 6 seasons. You know, kind of your 6th, 7th man. We also
Wait, he never was the starter?
only in case of injury because we had Smits and Davis at center and power forward for the entire time he was there.
So can you explain why he's number 2 all time?
I found him incredibly charming. I think he's good with the media. He's a handsome man.
Okay.
He also does the little things. I mean, I think he's an enforcer. He's a tough guy. He gets the gritty rebound. He had a jumper back when guys his build and size didn't really have it. You know, he was a part of really successful teams. He was a part of our toughness. I always loved him. One of the reasons this list exists, Joey, is because of my irrational list for Antonio Davis. I had to make a list that because I loved him so much, I needed to make sense of it. So
You needed to like validate your feelings to the world.
yes.
And he did so by arbitrarily inserting him into a list.
Mm-hmm.
At
I don't know if
number
it's
2.
arbitrary. It's very intentional, sir.
It's based on the charm offensive of Antonio Davis.
And so he's been number 2 on the last list.
He
right?
was,
He's
yeah.
not
He has
moved.
not moved.
Yeah.
So there's nobody on our roster even right now that's in the running for that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that. There are a lot of guys in the wings, and you know, maybe we'll see some people that might be on the current team that I love. This current Pacer team is perhaps my favorite Pacer team of all time. It's up there. I loved watching this team last year. Guys could be making a run at that second spot. They're not there yet, though. Antonio holds strong.
So is this in the top 25 of your Pacer teams that you like?
Clearly, I think it'll be very clear as we go through this list that the 95, 96, 93 through 2000, those guys are very well loved. But this new team from this last season it has a new place in my heart.
Also, we learned at the last time that you did this that recency is
It
a
is
huge
recency bias for
advantage
sure.
for getting on
Yeah,
the
without
list.
a doubt. And you'll find some of the changes are maybe because those people aren't.
Shout out to Luis Scola.
So if you have not listened, the previous episode in your feed is the amalgamation of the top 25. So
So
from the
pause and go
original.
listen to that one
So
first,
Go,
so you're caught up,
yeah.
To help you make sense of this?
because it all makes sense.
So who was number 3?
Oh, you know who number 3 on Colson's all-time list is.
I thought I knew him, but I don't.
It's still Baby Al.
Still
It is
Baby
Al
Al.
Harrington.
Still Baby Al. Wow.
Going nowhere. If anything, he's come closer to taking over the second spot from Antonio Davis.
Al Harrington, how many years was
7
he on
years.
the team?
More or less 7
7
years,
years.
yeah.
We drafted him out of high school in '98. He played 6 years for us, and then returned in '06 before we traded him. So you're right; it was only 6.5 seasons before we traded him with Steven Jackson to get rid of Steven Jackson to Golden State.
And he started full-time for us in 06-07, but I think that was really
Yeah.
the only year, yeah?
And you know, we've talked about this before. I mean, I think I had an emotional connection with him because he was my age, and he also lived in Antonio Davis's basement, which I thought was great. He just always had this just great big smile. He had so much potential. I was enthralled with the idea of this baby going onto a roster full of guys that were playing in the Eastern Conference Finals before he got there. I always rooted for him. I always loved him. Yeah, it's hard to say a bad word about Baby Al. And he left and came back, which is put you on this list. There's some sort of loyalty thing that I love about that.
His Twitter handle is Cheddar Cheese 7.
And that doesn't bump him up?
Complete sense.
I do love Baby Al. Maybe not quite as much as Colson.
Nobody else does. See, again, Antonio Davis, Baby Al, These are the reasons this list exists. Because I could just go down and list the greatest Pacers of all time based on stats and games and numbers. That's not interesting. And that's not what my heart says, you know?
Well, we're going to bring it back to reality here. Coming in at number 4, J.O. J.O. played a total of 8 seasons with the Pacers, 18.5 points, 9.5 rebounds, 2.5 blocks, 6-time All-Star, 3 times All-NBA. This dude was a beast.
Yeah. Was third in MVP voting one year. He is first all-time for the Pacers in blocks, both total and average. And 5th all-time scoring and 6th all-time rebounds. I think he belongs this high for sure.
Also, almost killed Turtle from what was that show?
Entourage.
Entourage. Thank
Yes.
you.
That was from the brawl.
Yeah.
Yes, but for
Yeah,
a piece of ice on the sidelines.
Oh man, I thought that man was dead.
I did too.
Yeah.
I was already starting to GoFundMe for his funeral cause.
Also, Jo, I was listening to your previous compilation list, which was quite entertaining and educational and informative. But I was reminded one thing that we didn't say about Jo last time was that we always remarked that Jo was just too good for his own good. Mm-hmm. Like he would get the ball in the post, and he had so many ways to attack you that he just couldn't decide.
Yeah.
And so he would, instead of doing one move, he would do 3 moves, and then the defender was still caught at the first move, but was slow, hadn't reacted yet. And Jo just came back to him and got defended.
Right.
On the third move.
Right. Went back into the defense after he'd done like a 5-part combination.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So if he would have done an even number of moves, he would have been fine.
Potentially.
Or just one. He would have been great.
Yeah.
The other thing that tends to move people up Colson's list, J.O. was, like Reggie, was a bit of a transitional player. He's a big guy. He could shoot from deep,
Right.
as well as having just an amazing nose around the rim and, next level athleticism. He was a real joy to watch. I loved it.
I root for the young kids, the underdogs. I mean, he came in just this skinny, scrawny kid. We traded Dale Davis for him.
Yeah,
And this
by
kid
that
was
account, you
just-
should hate him.
Well, right, right. But he was just this, and I was very upset. I stayed up all night back when the internet was not as what it is today, trying to find the 1 or 2 articles on it.
Exactly.
It
Took all night to get 2 articles.
Exactly. Dial up, download. He was 21 years old when he came to the team, and he was scrawny and nothing. And he averaged a double for us, and we got to the playoffs, and it was just great to root for him. He went through injuries and all the struggles with the brawl, but I thought he remained
In the legal trouble.
yeah, he remained a professional during a lot of awful things, and he got clumped in with a lot of guys that were doing other things that made the team look bad. So
Yeah, and he worked. I remember having long conversations with you, Colson, about how Pacer Nation wasn't really appreciating him for what he was doing.
Right.
He played through injuries a lot. And
Always.
was the leader in the locker room. We had our own issues with whether or not he was the best leader, but he was definitely trying and working his butt off and being the face of the franchise through what ended up being a very tough stretch there at the end.
right, but potentially a part of and the best player on maybe our most talented team of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And after he left, ultimately the injuries just kind of ate up the rest of his career. Unfortunately, he never was able to have the kind of longevity that
Baby
I
Al
think
had.
all fans wanted to get from him.
Right.
He was an electric player. Love J.O. Hailing at number 5. No surprise here. It's a big guy. It's an enforcer. It's a guy who came back. It's Dale Davis.
Yeah.
Dale Davis drafted this
He
guy.
checks a lot of boxes.
Played 10 seasons with the team, 9 points, 9 rebounds, and a little over a block a game. And he was the guy when things went sideways. He was going to throw a body out there, make sure that Reggie or whoever else was out there was protected. Great dude, great teammate. Does lead the Pacers all time in field goal percentage at 54%.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Yeah. He does not lead the team all time in free throw percentage. His he's actually
He's second to Reggie, right?
Exactly. His effective field goal percentage was 54%. His free throw percentage, 53%. So
Wow.
He is number one in O boards all time for the Pacers, and number 2 all time in rebounds. Speaks to his longevity. He was 5th in games played and 5th in minutes played also for the Pacers. Like, he's just, I mean, this guy was the heart and soul of the front court of the Pacers for a very long time. And he was the guy you didn't want to mess with. He was the guy that set the screens for Reggie. Also had Rick Smits's back. He basically had everybody's back.
yeah.
And
Rick Smith needed an enforcer.
Right. He was the enforcer, and unheralded in his return post brawl. Still love him for coming back and starting center for us, and playing in the playoffs when we got to the second round and all that stuff. Just a great Pacer. This is, you'll note, a change from my original list. 3 years ago, Paul George was number 5.
Ooh.
So
Paul George is number 6, right?
he has dropped. We shall see.
And with that, we're on to number 6. Guess what? It's another big dude. Jeff Foster
Yes.
J-Fo.
played his entire career with your Indiana Pacers. 4.9 points a game, 6.9 rebounds, almost half a block. He's a
13
stud.
seasons. Third in O boards, first in O board percentage. But Harper, I have an update. Since I gave you that list,
It's a fluid list.
It's
it is
very
a fluid list. Jeff Foster's fallen.
Oh boy.
Whoa.
So here's the deal. I have some insider information. I work in the restaurant industry.
Okay.
I have for my entire life. It is my profession, and I found out that Jeff Foster, with all of his millions of dollars, is a 10% tipper.
Oh.
And I know
Oh,
that
Jeff.
seems disconnected from the my favorite Pacers of all time, but it matters to me.
But everything that you know about them affects
Exactly.
how you
Everything
feel.
I know.
He's number 2 because of a charm offensive from
Right,
1996.
If you got a great smile, you can be really high on this list. So he has dropped. So go ahead and move on to the next one there, Harper. So we'll find
Okay.
out if Jeff Foster stays on the list for his 10% tipping.
Wow.
He takes like a 10% hit on his.
Yeah, we'll see how far that drops him. We'll find
Yeah.
out.
Jeff, don't think of this as extortion. It's something else completely. I'll think of a better
You
word later.
you got to prove that in a court of law.
Or on the check when you sign the credit card receipt.
Well, sliding into number 7, backing into number 7.
No, backing into number 6.
Yes, sorry, number 6 is Mark Jackson,
Mark Jackson.
who apparently needed a tipping scandal from Jeff Foster to move ahead. Mark Jackson plays 6 years.
Jackson, one of the greatest NBA players of all time.
We're talking about top 5 point guard of all
Squeaks
time.
by Jeff Foster. Because Colson was offended by his tipping. On probably what was like a $300 tab.
You know what I should? This reminds me of that story, Joe. Do you remember when you took a picture of that credit card receipt from Rick Carlisle? And
Yes.
it was a big tab, and he had tipped like 5% or something. And you took a picture of it and you sent it to me. And I think the goal was to just be like, "Hey, I waited on Rick Carlisle," and I then spent an hour drafting an email about how you need to take care of people that are servers that don't pay hourly wage, and these people make so much money, and they, and if you don't take care of your servers, you're a bad person, and I no longer trust my coach, and it went out of control. And then you sent back, does it matter if it was carry out? Yes, it definitely matters that it was carry out. Glad I wasted an hour writing. So,
I just thought it was cool that Rick Carlisle came in.
exactly. I didn't understand the message of the picture until later.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm very sensitive about the tipping, apparently.
Strongly worded letter.
Sorry to interrupt. Mark Jackson, one of the top 5 point guards of all time. He played for the Pacers. He's number 3 all time in assists for us. He's number 1 in assists average at 8.1. Averaged 8 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, and a steal. So we traded Pooh Richardson and Malik Sealy to the Clippers for Mark Jackson because Larry Brown was our coach and had coached him with the Clippers and said we needed him. So we traded him for Larry Brown. And immediately became a revelation for us. So we almost immediately became relevant. And you can connect that to Larry Brown's coaching or Reggie's maturation or Mark Jackson himself. We then later traded Jackson to Denver for Jalen Rose, which was pretty cool. And then we started sucking. I think we went on we started the season 0-10 or something. I can't quite remember. It was just not good. So we traded back for Mark Jackson in one of the greatest trades of all time. We traded Vincent Askew, Eddie Johnson, and a second rounder for Mark Jackson and the return of LaSalle Tank Thompson. So there we go. That's the story of Mark Jackson.
And that segues to number 7, LaSalle Tank Thompson.
Well, his return might help, but he played 6 seasons for us between those 2 trades, and was part of one of our most successful stretches. So.
Just fun to watch. He was entertaining and educational.
Oh, he gets entertaining, not just informative.
Oh, for sure.
The Jackson Jiggle,
Infotainment.
The cross.
I always liked it when Smits was not expecting those passes.
Just always.
You just hit him just hit him right in the stomach. What'd you call him? Brick mitts?
Yeah, brick mitts. Yeah.
And at number 7. It is Brick Mitts.
Yay!
Again, played his entire career with the Indiana Pacers, almost 15 points a game. Somehow managed to pull down 6 boards a game. Always seemed like less. And over a block a game. He made the All-Star game only once, believe it or not. But the centerpiece of a team along with Reggie Miller and the Davis boys that kept us competitive for years and years. One of the best strokes from a big fella in the history of the game.
That's true. Yeah, he's second in games, second in minutes played, second in field goals, second in points, and third in rebounds. Rick Smits. Just to his, I think all that speaks to his longevity, his consistency. I love me some Rick Smits. He was definitely an imperfect center, but he's part of the reason that we had those deep playoff runs, because we had a big man that could battle with what was an era of fantastic all-star Hall of Famer centers. He could battle with them. He may not have been quite at their level, but he put up a fight. You think about all those fights with Patrick Ewing and Mutombo and Shaq and he got beat up by those guys, but he put up fights. So.
And now 5 of the top 7 are dudes from the late 90s.
Yes, that is correct, sir. That's right. That's right. So maybe not recency biased. Maybe not recency biased.
Well, at least at the top.
Moving on to number 8. Big boy Roy Hibbert.
Still
there?
Still there.
Really? That was one of the ones I had penciled in for a big drop.
7 seasons with the Pacers, 11 points, 6.8 rebounds.
6.8 rebounds.
Almost 2 blocks a game. Shot 46% effective field goal percentage. I don't know. He's Hibbert.
When you look at their numbers, they're similar to Rick Smith's. I think we mentioned in the last time that we did this. I think you even coined it, Jason, Smibberts, and I feel like they're bound. I feel like I really like this combination of guys, and they may always be bound. They may fall and rise together.
But Smith was a much better offensive player. I feel
Right,
like.
and Roy Hibbert.
He had longevity as
Well,
as well.
but Roy Hibbert was there for 7 years. It's not like he didn't barely play for us, and he was far better defensively. He's one of the, he's on one of the greatest defensive teams of all time as the anchor. He's fourth all time in blocks for us, third all time in block average. He was a guy I always wanted to root for. He was fragile emotionally. And I just wanted to pick him up and pat him on the butt. Like it was every game I went into, it was about how's Roy gonna do, and for doing that for 7 seasons, it gets him this high on this list.
And we use a quote of his in our theme music.
Yes, we do. That's right.
Sure.
That does get you some
An
bonus
integral
points.
part of the,
Yes.
of
Of the pod.
Undebeatable Nation.
That's right.
I agree, but eight seems high, and it sounds like he should have been 9, but Foster.
Right. Foster keeps falling.
Keeps
Yeah.
falling.
Yeah.
As does PG. PG's
Yeah. PG's nowhere to be seen so far.
nowhere to be seen.
That's right.
That is understandable.
And behind Roy Hibbert at number 9, we get Jalen Rose.
That's right.
All right.
Got to give the people
Okay.
what they want.
Gotta.
Eventually.
6 total years with the Pacers, 14 points, 3.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists. Combo guard. He had his ups and downs with us, but really an exciting player with an amazing skill set. Part of the Fab Five in college. I love Jalen. I love Jalen even more now that he's not playing. He drove me nuts as a player, but I love him now.
Yep. I love his podcast. I constantly listen to it. He identifies himself still as a Pacer. Those were the best years of his career. I resonated to him in the sense that, we traded Mark Jackson for him, and then Larry Brown buried him on the bench, and his struggle to kind of break through to get to the point where he was the starter on this team and was one of the most athletic and gifted players that maybe we've had on the team. And was part of, again, all of those great playoff runs in the late 90s. I mean, I think he was the first player to lead the team in scoring that wasn't named Reggie Miller while Reggie Miller was on the team. So that was a big deal. He's part of a transition of Reggie Miller sort of moving into the twilight of his career. Yeah. I don't know if I need to defend this. I feel good about this. Number 9, Jalen Rose.
Nobody's attacking you, but
Okay, good.
Nope.
Jalen Rose.
I mean, if anything, he's too low.
Okay.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Everybody's mad that Hibbert was there.
yeah, pretty much.
Would you put Rose above Smits or just above Hibbert? I mean, 11 years from
no.
Smits. 11
No,
years.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Smits was an integral part of my formative years. So
Yeah. Jalen is ahead
For
of
me, he's the-
Baby Al for me.
Okay, fair enough. That's a legitimate complaint.
Rounding out the top 10, a guy who absolutely deserves the accolade, Danny Granger, Batman. A.K.A. The Gift.
Ooh.
Great
I don't know
career
about
with
that.
Indiana. Over 9 seasons, 17.5 points a game, 5 boards, defensive stopper, great motor, great teammate, good locker room guy. I like it.
Yeah, I always respected him for sticking with the team. He could have had a great career somewhere else, but he stuck with the team. And, those were not great years when he was in charge. Through probably no fault of his own, but, he could have bailed, and he didn't. So he stuck around. He had a little bit of a career after
Not much.
Yeah, as thanks for that, the Pacers traded him away. His locker room presence, and he was so excited to be on a winning team, and we traded him for Evan Turner, and
Yep.
And the season collapsed.
blew up our team.
right.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that result didn't move him higher up this list.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
it
that's a good
may
point.
as I meditate on it over the next. If we do this again in 3 years, it might.
Yeah.
History reflects kindly on him quite well, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And is a guy that we drafted 17th overall. Really a nice draft pick where we got him. So good organizational guy. Yeah, Danny Granger. Good
Yeah,
dude.
and he was
I
a
got
great
nothing
pick.
bad to
You're
say
right.
about
He
that.
was a steal at the number for sure.
Out of the University of New Mexico.
So Jeff Foster finally reappears. Number
Ooh, there it
11.
is.
So what's that fall? How many is that? Is that 5?
6 to
5
10,
spots?
5 spots.
That seems about right. So that's just a warning to you, ex-Pacers or even current Pacers. If you're on this list, I find out you're a bad tipper. Just watch out.
Yeah.
You know I love Jeff Foster, though. I one of the reasons I make this list is to honor hustle guys that do the little things, the dirty work, that set the picks, that get the O boards. He's one of those guys. He's 4th all-time in games. He spent his entire career with us with 13 seasons. Yeah, 4th all-time in rebounds, too. So, fantastic pacer.
Wow.
We're giving a little bit of a hard time for not tipping, but I think this is probably better, more natural where he should land in general. So,
I ran into him recently. He was very nice. Said hi to my family.
did he say hi to me? Because that might get him up on the list.
No.
Okay.
No. He did not. But he had very soft hands and it was very polite. My mom was wearing her Pacers hat, so gave us a little cred.
Nice.
Nice.
Shout out, Jofo.
Originally drafted by the...
J-Fo.
Jofo. He's not Jofo.
No.
Jofo.
That sounds bad for some reason. I don't know what that is. Originally drafted number 1 or 21st in the first by the Golden State Warriors. I didn't realize that.
And he also did advertisements for milk.
And
That shoots him way up there.
Love Jeff Foster. He embodies what this list is about, except for the tipping part.
When I think of Jeff Foster, I think of him on the floor. Yeah,
Right.
Sliding.
Exactly.
Slapping
Floor
a,
burns.
slapping a ball. Yeah.
That's right.
And just 3 or 4 O boards in a row when other dudes are standing around in awe.
Yep.
And confusion.
Absolutely love that guy.
Rocking
Like,
the
why
mountains
is this
there.
guy trying so hard?
That's right.
all right, so we're back on track here. Puts us at number 12.
Right.
The reason why this list exists today. David West.
Yeah.
There he is.
Recently
Dubs.
retired from the National Basketball Association. 4 years with the
Interesting.
Indiana Pacers, averaging 14 points, 7 boards, just under a block a game. But the heart and soul of our team, was also our enforcer. Also had a bit of a jumper. I mean, this guy's a Swiss Army knife and one of the toughest dudes to play in the NBA. Garnered.
Yeah, he
Respect from
led the
everyone.
league in scowls in 2012-13 season.
Do you think
That's right.
Dale Davis did some training with him? I mean, do you think that's something that you can, do some Rocky style training on?
Maybe.
They have the background music while they're both doing faces in the mirror.
They're just staring down cuts of beef.
D West special place in my heart. I'm a Xavier grad. David West also, in addition to being an amazing pacer and NBA guy, had an amazing college career. I just want to do a quick shout out to his college accolades. Played all 4 years at Xavier.
Really?
Started every game his sophomore through senior years. Played in every game his freshman year. At his peak, averaged 20 points, 12 boards, 3 assists, and a block and a half his senior season, in which he won AP Player of the Year, Atlantic 10 Player of the Year, won the Rupp Trophy, and was a consensus All-American. This dude is the greatest Xavier basketball player of all time.
He just, he ate a lot of babies. He changed the culture of the team, and a free agent signing that morphed this team in a way that I don't think we are what we are today without him. We were searching for direction, and I thought he brought it. And the fact that he's 12 is only because he didn't play with us longer. Honestly, I mean, I just love him so much.
David West was one of my favorite players on the of all time. Really, he was. He probably would be. He'd definitely be in my top 5. I just loved watching him play. He was, you talked about that Roy Hibbert, like that team with Roy Hibbert and David West and Paul George. Those guys, the defense. He was the guy who was leading the defense most of the time. Hibbert was the guy at the rim, but David West was the one calling everything out. He was the one in charge of all that. Just a fantastic leader, and he had that elbow jumper, which was it was so predictable. As Pacer fans, we saw it, but he was just so consistent and just such a great guy on and off the floor. Good family guy, and like Jason said, Xavier guy. He was, I wanted him to be here for the rest of his career.
Yep.
I think, I talked in previous episodes about I wanted him I wanted his jersey in the rafters, but that didn't happen.
Well, but his jersey's in the Undebeatable rafters.
Yeah.
Oh,
And we can
sure.
keep pushing
We can do
for that. We can have an undefeated campaign.
Ooh.
Yeah, but when he left the team, I was just gut punched. What a bummer. But shout out to him, and I mean, he finished his career, the way he wanted, and I think he's a very socially active person, Jason. Like you had said, he's got a good head on his shoulders, and so he's gonna do something good somewhere.
Yeah. The reason we're revisiting this list today is because we have a ceremony. When that's right, pop the top, pour yourself a shot. When someone on this list retires, we go ahead and play the music, the celebratory music. And then we take a shot. So I'm going to play that music. David West, that's for you.
This is longer than I remember.
Some tuba music.
Yeah.
Because you're a tuba
Sousa
player. This is Sousa. We love you, and you will live in Pacers' hearts for all of eternity. Here's to you, sir. Cheers.
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 Yeah, I was a little salty by his exit. Not at him, but he didn't like that the way Larry Bird was treating. Was that Hibbert?
Yeah, punking on Hibbert.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hibbert, who just crushed him on this list, by the way.
yes, yes. And then he went to San Antonio next.
Yeah,
but he did some ring chasing.
yeah.
And
he got himself a ring.
Yeah,
he was successful.
got 2, I think.
2, yeah.
Did he get 2?
Yeah, he did.
2,
Yeah, Golden State.
Yeah. Well, if you're an all-star caliber player and a great locker room guy who's willing to take a second fiddle and a little less money, win some championships.
Yeah,
and his admonishment of the Pacers, I think, boosted him up my list even more.
Yeah.
He was completely right and fair in those arguments, and also everybody on Golden State talked about how important he was to those championship teams. So there you go.
Yep. Truth to power guy. And, if the things that you do in other places are allowed to reflect on you at all, him sort of shepherding the, Hornets through all sorts of transitions and playing great basketball. I mean, this guy had a tough career, but he was about as loyal as he could be, and it's hard to begrudge him going to play great basketball with great teams late in his career.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
I'm excited to see what he's going to do in his NBA career. I feel like he's a guy that is motivated to make the world a better place, and I think he's going to figure out the best ways to do that, and I wish him the best in those efforts. So.
And if you ever need a platform, we got a mic.
Yes.
That's right.
Exactly.
We need more adults in the room.
Yeah. Come
So,
whip us into shape.
one.
That's right. That's right.
Blurred right, trust in the wrong lane, gotta swerve right. Drunk and up betrayal on the curbside. Wasted. The power of pages I read, all the hours I wasted. I said to move out of the state, but instead now I'm validated. Mother coming home soon. Ruthless, empowered on my own in the zone, and this proves that you can rule wrong. But even Caesar had Brutus. The illusion wasn't known, so I needed to do this. I've seen the betrayal, no friends, only green like I'm Rachel. Baby brother called a sing in the cradle. Him like the Pharaoh brotherhood code is condemned. So bro from within, but I chose to ascend. Back to the blackboard blueprint. Student of the past, never asked for new friends. Now good fellas, Henry Hill, Desperado. To kill a brother must be hard to swallow. Props though, extended clip is vengeance in abundance. The venom in a bullet trigger, a guitar strumming. Betrayal, how much can one head imagine? Stay faithful to self, ain't no bunk beds and caskets. No. Blurred right, trust in the wrong lane, gotta swerve right. Drunk and all betrayal on the curbside. Wasted.
Back from the break. Colson, I got to interrupt your flow a little bit. I got a stat of the week for you.
All right, I like it.
Joey, stat of the week.
So you guys know I'm a huge football fan. And so apparently the NFL has started already this year. But Vontae Davis, we were former Colt cornerback. You guys, the score, they were down 28-3 at halftime, and so Vontae Davis did what Vontae Davis does, and he retired at halftime for his career, and he is now done playing football.
What? Are you kidding?
No,
He literally retired.
he literally retired
At halftime?
No, at halftime. At halftime, he went to the coaches and said, "I'm not feeling like myself," and he just said that basically his body's can't do this anymore, and he done.
That has got to be an NFL first.
Wow. Should we play the Sousa music for him too?
Do we have
No,
to take
not
another
like that.
shot for this? This is ridiculous.
Exactly.
Yeah, they apparently the Bills are super terrible, and he's getting beat up out there, and he's just done.
Wow.
That's it.
That's amazing.
So
Retired at halftime.
yeah, in week 2.
He just broke Harper's brain. Like, it's unbelievable.
He's Googling all the things right now.
That's crazy. That guy is so talented, first off. He's 30.
Right.
I guess he only signed a 1-year deal for $2.5 million. But wow.
Yeah, how is that possible?
Because he was on the verge of retirement.
Closer than anyone expected, I guess, including himself.
Game and a half. I got about a game and a half left in me.
But think about it too. Like he did to get to this point, he had to have done all his preseason prep. He had done all that, all the workouts and all that sort of stuff, and then
Filled out the paperwork and all that.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the worst. Don't get me
All those
don't get me
I-9s,
started.
jeez.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I didn't even know this was an option. I'm out.
No, you skipped. You missed halftime. You're back in.
Oh,
Sorry, you got to finish the episode. It's part of your contract. If you'd left at halftime, you'd been good.
Yeah, apparently in the locker room, he just changed it to his street clothes and left.
That is amazing. That could only happen to the Buffalo Bills.
Right?
Anyway, that was my stat.
I don't know how to move
So
on
the
from
stat
that.
is
Amazing.
one retirement.
Yes.
That's right. I love that your stats aren't always stats, Joey. That's one of the reasons I love you.
I shoehorned in that the score was 28.
Oh, okay. So there was a number involved.
Yeah, there was a number in there. So.
Which, weirdly, I was just reading, the Colts played the Redskins today. So there was an article about Frank Reich, the new Colts head coach, in the Washington Post this morning. about how he led the greatest comeback in NFL history as a Buffalo Bill, ironically, against the Houston Oilers. They came back they were down 28-3 at halftime. He came out at halftime promptly threw a pick six, so they're down 35-3, and then they came back and won 41-38. He also led the greatest comeback in University of Maryland history when he was a quarterback there as a senior. That time he wasn't even the starter. He got inserted at halftime, and they came back from like 30 down or something like that to win. So he came out and scored 6 straight touchdowns or something like that. So, yeah.
Yep, he's got that never say die Vontae Davis spirit that personifies the NFL.
So, Colson, who is at number 13? Who follows in David West's illustrious footsteps?
Well, so, we went through 1 through 12, and they were very similar to my previous 1 through 12. Jeff Foster clearly dropped, and Paul George is noticeably absent from the top 12. But after this, it gets a little wonky. So last year, before 3 years ago, David West was 13, but now he's clearly moved to 12. So, Harper, take us away.
Yeah, that's the end of the old guys. Out with the old, in with the new, gentlemen. Sitting at number 13, Kehinde Babatunde Victor Oladipo.
Whoa!
Wow.
Hilarious. I was going to guess that. But I thought, no, that's ridiculous. He's only played one season.
But it's not ridiculous.
It's not
ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous. You're right.
Because he changed the culture of this team. He led this team. This is one of the greatest
Steven
seasons
Jackson
I've ever watched.
changed the culture.
In a positive way, sir.
Okay.
Also, if you look at his numbers on this list, granted it was only one season, he's got the highest scoring average of all of these players at 23 points per game, 4.4 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal and a half. Just a really solid line. So
Well, and also took what should have been an absolutely destructive moment in franchise history and turned it into a winning basketball season. Certainly not single-handedly, but
Yeah.
relative to expectations, last year was one of the greatest years we've ever had. It was
but
fantastic.
clearly was, the tip of the spear, if you will, in the change in direction, yeah. All right, I approve. I was wondering, obviously, as I was listening to the old version, I was wondering how high Oladipo would be.
yeah.
And top 10 was not out of the
I
question.
might have gone top 10.
Yeah.
I'm that easily
would've
swayed.
just
I
given
barely
him-
remember
actually-
yesterday.
I thought you were just going to give him Paul George a spot.
Given
Oh,
the amount
well,
of
fair
hands
enough.
you've drank between 3 years ago, man.
Well, okay, he's only played for one season, and clearly longevity matters on this team. I think if he plays out his contract with us and we continue to have the kind of success and he continues to kind of be this leader on and off the court, he will rise on this list. If he ends up being a cancer in the locker room or, forcing his way out of the city, he will drop on this list.
Sure. Hashtag Jamal Tinsley.
Exactly. I think this is the right place to put him because I think he's right halfway there. Just after one season, I think he exemplifies what's right about this team that we currently have. He exemplifies the things that I want in a Pacer player. He's an all-star. He was an all-NBA. Like he's got the accolades. Granted, it doesn't. It's not been very long. It's only been one season, but I expect him to rise up this board. So.
He has the singing voice that you wish you had when you sang.
I think part of my charm is that I don't have his singing voice. If you call that charm.
Keep on believing that.
So controversial? No? Everybody's in on it.
No.
We
I love it.
Oladipo
No.
right now.
Longevity secretly,
Let's do
you
it.
keep saying longevity matters on your list. It doesn't at all.
It matters for the top 10, apparently.
Sort of.
All right, who's next?
On the previous incarnation of this list, number 14, George Hill. Who do we got this year?
Not George Hill. A guy that I think at least one of our analysts is going to be excited about. Coming in at number 14, it's Born Ready.
Yes, I knew it.
Lance
I knew it.
Stevenson is number 14 all time.
He went from
Yes.
from well off the list to number 14. To no
He came back.
consideration because he had ruined a shot at a title. to number
No,
14.
that wasn't him. That wasn't him.
No, see, this is my realization. So when I made the list last time, I thought that Lance had been the poison in the locker room that had destroyed the team, which gets you kicked off the list. What time
Jamal
reveals
Tinsley.
exactly? What time reveals is that he was not the problem in the locker room.
Not the only
And
problem
so-
in the locker room.
Okay, he might have been a problem, but not that kind of problem. Not
It's a
not the
regular
poison that destroyed the locker room. He's just a quirky personality. He left and came back, which puts you up on the list. He's also just such a joy to watch, and he's been a part of really successful teams over the last. He's also played 6 seasons for the Pacers at this point. I know this is high, but I thought about how much I enjoyed watching him, and the reason he was off the list last time is that I thought he was a cancer, and realizing that he wasn't, he's got to be up there. He's got to be up, number 14.
I fully support this.
Yes, you do, Joey.
I think he's low, but Jason, what do you got to think?
Well, what I think is amazing is that all of us predicted this as soon as Lance Stevenson came back to the team. We were like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That
He
means
just
he's
moved up
top
10
15
points,
on
right?
goals. Yeah.
That's right. Leave and come back. Leave and come back. It's gonna put you on the list.
Lance.
And
Were you
there's-
spurned as like a child? Did you have a young lover that kept leaving and coming back? And
No,
I
Colson
think
was a young
Joey's
lover who
theory is-
kept leaving and coming back.
I see.
Joey's theory is that I left Indiana and came back.
Yeah.
That's not a bad theory.
Twice. So
That's
when
true, twice. So if somebody
Stevenson
leaves and
comes
comes back
back-
twice, they're right behind Reggie. That's all I know.
exactly, yeah. So Lance
Yeah.
comes back from LA.
He will be number 2.
He's gonna bring AD out of the number 2 spot.
He had already said that he would love to do that. So I think it's
He's ready
Yeah,
to
he's
retire a Pacer. Is what
he's
saying.
gonna go play with.
This is a fait
he's gonna-
accompli.
It's,
Just mark it down
it-
now.
He's
Can
gonna
we
go
just put
play
him
with
at number
LeBron.
2 now and
Just
bump
do it
everybody
now.
else down?
Just do it now.
Come on, do it.
No,
Colson. Do
no,
it.
no, no,
Do
no.
it.
These are fluid lists. This is the moment frozen in time. He's 14.
So, again, this is a guy who started for 2 of the 6 seasons that he played for us. We got a lot of non-starters on
yeah.
this list.
No. Oh, yeah. I mean, AD didn't start. Al didn't start.
what I'm saying.
Like, yeah. I mean, pretty
So
much everybody else started. Well, Jeff Foster started about half of his 13-year career.
Jalen Rose.
Yeah. So
I mean,
Yeah,
to be fair,
he started.
Colson's not really a starter on the
that's right. Kind of the guy that comes off the bench and throws the rock out of bounds.
Well, how many times have you hosted the show?
0.
Yeah.
It's the stats back up your observation, Jason.
Yeah.
So on the previous incarnation of this list, 15, Big Smooth, Sam Perkins.
And I think that's
like
mostly
it.
because I was giving you a hard time about Sam Perkins, by the way.
Keep him
Potentially.
there. He's the best.
He is the best,
He's
but
not
I
there
am
anymore.
not ashamed to say that the current number 15 is Derek McKee. This guy was a great warrior for our team, defensive stopper. Played with some great teams for us. Just a stalwart.
8 seasons. 8 seasons. with
Eight
the
seasons
Pacers.
is surprising to me. It doesn't seem like he played with us for 8 years, but
My problem with McKee was that he wasn't hanging out at the 3-point line and just stoned out of his gourd.
Well, that's a legitimate knock.
Right. Nearly 9 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, nearly 3 assists, and a steal. He's actually 9th all time on the Pacers in steals.
really,
Yeah.
Wow.
Really?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the guy was a coach on the floor. He was rangy.
you play 8 years, you accumulate stats. That's
But
true.
also, he was our best defender for, probably 6 of those 8 years.
Truth.
Steady vet. Love Derek McKee. I have no problem with this.
Previously on...
This is like the most rational pick that you have.
I know, right?
yeah, it is. And Derek McKee moved up a spot because on the previous list he was number 16.
Yeah.
So who we got this year?
This year at number 16, we're going old school. Colson's going old school on us. It's Vern Fleming, guys.
Whoa.
Oh my god.
Look at this.
He's moved
a
up
spot.
significantly since our last
No,
list.
just a spot.
Well, right. He was 21 and then moved to 17.
Yeah.
And then is now at 16.
Yeah.
Things are going well for him. He's aged well. I think his time is 11 seasons with the Pacers. Spent his entire career with us. He's third all time in games played, 8th in points, 2nd in steals, 2nd in assists, 3rd in steals. That's right. And 3rd in minutes played, 5th in field goals, top 10 in basically every guard category.
How much did you watch him play? Because he.
So that's the thing. He's kind of prehistory for me, but I definitely remember watching him. I don't have a lot of memories of like playoff games with him, but I definitely remember him kind of as the old veteran, playing point guard with the young Reggie and Rick Smith.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have a lot of playoff memories because there weren't a lot
Yeah.
of playoff memories.
Right, exactly.
But he was my first point guard.
It was my first point guard as well. Yes.
To be fair, he actually did play a season with the Nets at the end of his career.
Oh no.
Oh
What, is that
no!
bumping down your list now?
I feel like I shouldn't have said anything.
I felt like that was a reconsideration. Oh no.
I shouldn't have said
No. I think it throws off my. I gave stats at the beginning that said 4 were played their
Oh,
entire.
don't
career.
worry, Colson.
It
No
might
one
just be
took
3.
your stats.
Okay.
Seriously.
Okay. Nobody believes that.
Yeah,
That's
we
good.
haven't been listening to you.
Okay. Fair enough.
The list itself changed over the course of this broadcast. We assumed that the
That is
stats
true.
would also
Sorry, I
change.
threw you some curveballs there.
Exactly.
Bad tippers just drop
Yeah.
people off the list.
And also, Vern, big guy, like 6'5". I love Vern Fleming. He's like a good guy. He's an Indiana guy. Like, I mean, not born and raised here. I mean, he's originally from New York, but like, he was a part of this franchise. He was a part of this town.
11 seasons. I mean, he was the bridge from a terrible team to success.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Vern's awesome.
Yeah,
And then he went to
I'm
the
glad
Nets.
he's there. I feel really good with him at this on this part of the list. And last year, or the last time we did this list, number 17 was Vern Fleming. So he's moved up. Who's now at 17?
George Hill?
George Hill.
God, he's still on this
Georgie.
list.
Still on this list. He's a great Indiana basketball hero. Went to Broad Ripple High School, IUPUI. We played him out of position. He needed to be a combo guard, and we forced him to be a point guard for the entire time he played for us, which was 5 years. So he had a long career with us in that sense. He averaged 12 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal. He actually is 5th most in 3 points made on the Pacers all-time list. Yeah, he was that corner 3 guy as things changed and developed over his career. I love how much stuff he did with the community. I love the backpacks for free throws. I think the reason he fell this much is because I had him last time we did this list in a position where he was going to stay longer or he was going to have more success. You know, he was a part of really successful playoff runs, but he never really had those big moments. His impact was, he just always was tantalizingly on the verge of being a great offensive player and a impact defense player, and you always wanted him to do all those things, and he never quite did it. And I rooted for that and cared about that, and that was important to me. But I think if he had maybe hit some of those marks more, he would have been higher on this list. But I like him being bound with Vern Fleming in a certain way. It's sort of like by Smibberts. Is there like this is a Vern Hill I can die on or something like that? I like this combination.
Did not see that coming.
I just feel like you were always a lot
better
more
than Flim
optimistic
Hill,
than
which
I
sounds
was. I never felt like he was on the verge of being great offensively or on the verge of being great defensively. He's steady Netty. That's what he was.
I do. You're correct. He was like the rock of that of those teams in the mid 2010s, and he also won us games. Like single-handedly won games. In the regular season,
For sure,
his
in the regular
playoff
season.
moments weren't as great as they should have been.
Right.
And that season that Paul George had broke his leg in, and we almost made the playoffs, but didn't. George Hill was the difference. If George Hill had played that whole season, that team is a playoff team.
Right.
And George Hill is, cements this spot. I have no issue.
Well,
with
and
this
that's you've got to remember that's he was coming off of that season when we did this list last time.
Yeah.
And so he had just sort of proven that he could be basically the leader of a team offensively, and especially down the stretch when he got healthy down the stretch, he was magnificent. So, but I think over time as these things age, I think I'm happy with him here. I think he was a great Hoosier, and I root for
he's a
success.
protocol,
Cleveland, exactly. That stuff moves you up the list. So,
And one of the few active players on this list.
yes, for sure.
Oh, good call, Jim.
So we'll be, someday we'll be able to toast to him.
Although you should have put active in quotes. Air quotes.
Is he going to be backing up Colin Sexton, or is he going to be starting for Cleveland?
Or will Cleveland be
knows what
relegated?
Yeah. If Cleveland does what they should do, he should be backing up Colin Sexton. But
Yeah, I
If
agree.
Cleveland did what they should do, LeBron would still be there.
I don't even know if that's true. Because they kind of did what this is a whole side conversation, but they kind of did what LeBron wanted to, and
Just not super effectively.
mortgaged their future, basically.
Yeah. George Hill,
Exhibit A, James Jones, and
George Hill clearly getting a big IUPOI/Broderpool bump here, so I'll accept that.
And backpacks.
Oh no, give me the backpacks. Definitely a good community guy.
So 18's the same as it was before.
Freddie Jones.
Jones, yes.
Stays on the list.
Wow.
He gets the jumping out of the gym bump. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Only 4 seasons with the Pacers. 245 games. But nearly 8 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists.
No, but I think he deserves a spot just for that one game after the brawl, when we had like 6 active dudes, and
And it went
Jones
into
was like,
overtime.
F it, I'm doing this.
he played 50 minutes.
That's the game that John Edwards got benched, isn't it?
That's right. And he hit 5 3-pointers or something, and he's not a 3-point shooter. That kid I love Freddie Jones for his work after the brawl and for his dunk contest win. Civic pride goes there. So shout out Freddie Jones.
Well, drafted by the Pacers, played half his career here, and he's also a Duck. Why not?
Yeah,
Sure.
Why not? Last time we did this list, number 19 was LaSalle Tank Thompson. That has changed a bit.
LaSalle fallen, Byron Scott on the move.
Oh, nice.
That's right. Moving up. I thought about it. I love the Tank. I love LaSalle Tank Thompson. But the Freddie Jones Byron Scott combo felt like it made more sense to me. Byron Scott, we've talked about this on the last pod. But yeah, he just came in at the right time. He was a free agent signing that was utterly important to the culture of this team, and hit one of the big franchise game-winning shots that sort of propelled us into the. What was the stat that I had? Over the last 24 seasons, we're more likely to have gone to the Eastern Conference Finals than to miss the playoffs. We've been to 8 Eastern Conference Finals in the last 24 years, and we've only missed the playoffs 6 times. Mm-hmm. And Byron Scott, I believe, is the beginning of that. So, he was near the end of his career. He was just basically a guy off the bench that scored. He gave you 10 points, 2 points, 2 assists. He didn't really do much else, but Yeah, no, I think giving us that he had rings with L.A. and I give him a lot of credit for his culture change, just as I do David West and Oladipo for those bringing those guys in. So he moved up because I thought about culture change and there you go.
2 years with the team, again did not start.
Ever, and that's outside of Oladipo. That is the shortest duration on this list. So, number 20 used to be Byron Scott.
Now he's been supplanted by Darren Collison.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I had predicted this. He left and came back.
He left, came back. He's now 3 years with the Pacers.
3 years.
That's
though.
it?
3. That's it. Yeah,
It feels like longer than that.
12
it
points,
does.
3 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal a game with the team. But steady point guard play. Really an unexpectedly great season last year.
Yeah, he led the league in assist to turnover ratio and 3-point percentage. That's not bad. Also, his 5.1 assists a game is 7th all time among Pacers for average of assists.
Really?
We traded Troy Murphy for him to New Orleans, so that's great. That gives him credit. We got rid of Troy Murphy's contract.
So kudos to him for that.
That's right. And then we traded him away for Jan Mahimny, but he returned as a free agent on his own volition, so that adds something to it. I love that.
He's still really fast.
He's a Waterbuck boy. He's a steady veteran. He's a part of this great last Pacer season that we discussed that I love so much. And I think you guys all made fun of me because last year he was sitting at like 26, 27 last time we talked about this. And I already had him ready to go. And when he came back, boom.
Yeah,
He's on this list, number 20.
that makes sense. I mean, I feel like my faith in Darren Collison was born in the playoffs in forget what year that was, but George Hill supplanted him as the starting point guard,
That's right.
and
Due to injury, though, right?
Yes, he got injured, and then
Right.
George Hill took over, and then when Collison got healthy, they were like, "No, we'll just keep
Right.
you on the bench."
but then in the playoffs that year, basically the only dude that worked his butt off and played at a playoff level of basketball was Darren Collison, and I remember having a conversation with you, Colson, being like, "Look, this is the only dude that's playing hard. Like, what the f?"
He led the team in PER in the playoffs that year off the bench.
bench.
Yeah, love this guy.
So that either says how much of a disaster that roster was, or how great Darren Collison was.
A little bit of both.
I'm leaning
Little bit of
towards how great Darren Collison is. I'm looking forward to him having a great season this year. I know that there's a chance that we won't re-sign him, but I'm a huge fan. Undersized and works his butt off. Those type of things. Working hard gets you on this list. So
Which is ironic, because it's Colson.
that's right. That's right. Because I did not do anything except crack a beer for this. Last list 21 was Hayward Workman.
And we've improved. Now we got the big schmove.
Nice.
Oh no, we don't. No, we don't.
What? Oh. The list is fluid. It keeps changing.
I changed it on you. Forgot.
Super fluid list.
It is
Oh
fluid.
no, it changed since last I sent it to you. Travis Best,
Ooh,
21. Yeah.
above Big
sorry.
Smooth.
Big Smooth got bumped.
For Travis Best?
Yeah, I was thinking about it. He had so many playoff highlights. He was with the team for 7 seasons, so longevity matters at this point. He's 9th all time in assists.
At this point.
Well, no, I mean if you're deciding between two players, the longevity matters. He was drafted in '95, played with us for 7 years after that, so he was part of all of those late '90s teams. Yeah, no, he had a roof for his shoes. He was always high. He won. I mean, there are very few people on this list that you can say this guy won 4 playoff games for us, and you can say that about Travis Bass.
That's a good call.
So
He's
he's 21.
okay. Again, a guy who never really started for us.
Nope.
No, always a backup. Oh, actually, no, he did start that last year, I think, under Isaiah Thomas before we traded him away for Ron Artest.
In 2001, 2002, he started 3 of 44 games.
3 of 44? So what about the year before that? Because that was when we were starting Jalen Rose, wasn't it? Or that was when we were starting
2000, 2001, 21 of 77.
There you go. I think he and Rose
the
were
one. That's
back,
where he was our
back and
starter.
forth.
In 96,
Less than
97, he
a third
started
of the
46
time.
of 76 games. That's really...
Yeah. No, he was a backup. He was a career backup for us, but those guys make the list, as you know. So
Again, now I'm wondering where Joe Young is. Come on.
well, and where's Paul George?
Paul George is off this list.
Yeah,
Come on.
we know we're Paul George.
22. Scola.
Scola is still on the list?
No. That was from.
Scola.
No,
okay.
that was my previous list.
Gotcha.
Harper. What's 22 now?
22 now, I think, is the big move. I think.
No.
Nope. You're wrong.
LaSalle Tank Thompson.
Okay.
Thompson. Okay. Fine.
Played 8 years for us as a starter and a reserve at power forward center, averaging 6 points, 8 rebounds, assists and a half, a steal, and a block and a half in 20 minutes a game. That's his numbers as a Pacer. That's amazing. And as we mentioned before, he returned in a trade with Denver with Mark Jackson. So he left and returned. He was the original enforcer, the original big guy. He played center for us when Rick Smits got hurt. He was the power forward before Del Davis got there. He was the big man before we got AD and Del Davis and Rick Smits all lined up. And yeah, I'll always love him for it. He's a little bit prehistory, but he also played a really significant role in those playoff series against the Knicks in '94. So yeah, I think he's one of those guys that may be on that ebb and flow of the top 25, top 35 list of all time. But I love me some Tank Thompson.
Franchise guy.
He's slowly sliding his way out of this.
He is sliding his way out of this. And then Scola's gone. 23 was best before, and he's moved up. So now you get Big Smooth.
Big Smooth.
Sam Perkins. I feel like this is a better place for him. I didn't get bullied into Sam Perkins. I think I was living off of the high of how much Harper and I used to talk about him and love him. He is fantastic, and I think all the reasons that I had him at 16 on the last list still keep him on this list. Guys, you get on this list if you have a chant after your name, like Reggie.
Scola.
So Big
Scola.
Smooth. Yeah, Scola, that helped. I think that's what got Scola on the list last time. I love the chanting.
That and the Blades.
But, it's funny. It's funny.
His hair was.
I remember him as the big boy three-point shooter. He shot 39% from the range, which is quite good for a center. But he only averaged 1 per game as a Pacer in his 3 seasons.
It was a different NBA.
Yeah, it was for sure. The fact that he could line up and shoot it was great.
Yeah. And only shot 40%
he took some
from the
beatings for Shaq from us in the finals.
Because he only shot threes, basically.
Yeah, exactly. But no, just a great addition of a veteran player that had been around the leagues and had a lot of success in the playoffs and came to our team late in his career. He's the kind of guy that embodies what I want out of this list. He didn't play long enough, but he, just veteran grit and bringing corporate knowledge to the team. So love it.
Which corporation?
Number 24 stays the same, Harper. Jonathan Bender.
He's sort of
Really?
played 7 seasons with us.
Yeah, 237
Collected
games in
7 years
7
worth of
seasons.
checks.
That's exactly what happened.
I mean, Sam Perkins almost played as many games, and he only played 3 seasons with us. So.
I think Bender used his time on the Pacers to fund his post-career startup.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He was building a lab,
Yeah.
doing some experiments,
Deep
which I
underground.
respect. That's the way to do
Yeah.
it.
Which is all fine, but there's a sense in which Jonathan Bender is the most disappointing Pacer of all time. It's interesting to me that he's on
yeah.
the list anyway.
Well, I
Well,
think
that's
it's
a different list.
Yeah, there was so much hope for him. I just wanted him
I
to.
want to make that list.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. We talk about the guys like the Roy Hibberts, the Baby Owls, the
Are you doing the most disappointing Pacers list? I thought we were doing that later.
no. The guys, the underdogs that you rooted for, that you really wanted, that you emotionally invested in, that didn't end up being who you needed to be. Bender is the perfect example of this. I'm glad he lives on this list. We actually, I think the last time we did this list, when you guys told me that he had to be on my list because I wouldn't stop talking about him for 7 years, reminded me of how much I loved him, and he remains at 24. So a brief update. The players that have were mentioned on the last list: Paul George, Scola, Haywood Workman, and Clark Kellogg have not been mentioned yet. And so, number 25, Harper, who do we
Oh,
have?
am I supposed to know? Last I heard, it was Haywood Workman.
Haywood Workman.
Still true?
Still
makes the
true.
list.
And let me
Clark
tell you why.
Kellogg.
I know. Let me tell you why. 5.1 points, 2-point rebounds, 3.4 assists in his 4-year career with the Pacers. However, as the starting point guard in the 94 playoffs, 8 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, and nearly 2 steals. The guy played out of his head. He shouldn't have been in that position. I'll always love him for it. And I mentioned to you before that this list was inspired by my irrational love for Antonio Davis and Baby Al, and I didn't figure out where to put them. That's also true for Haywood Workman. And I think Haywood Workman belongs at 25 as the threshold for the 25, at least for now, right? So I had him at 21. That's too high. But I think if he remains at 25, it speaks to a toughness above the head, playing above your head, and my investment in you. And so for now, and I think maybe into the future, guys could drop out over him. I still like him at 25. He embodies what I want this list to be. Haywood Workman, nearly missing.
How many years did Haywood Workman play? For
Just
the
4.
Pacers?
Just 4.
Okay. That's a solid
So I would
tenure, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that Scola worked crazy hard, too, but he wasn't. How long was Scola on the team?
Scola, I think, I don't have it in front of me, but I think it was 3 seasons.
2 or 3 seasons.
And he actually, I have my 26 through 35 in order. He's 26, so he is honorable mention. But because his career is over, it's not likely that he'll move up, unless people start shitting on the franchise and falling down.
Which is always possible with this franchise.
I don't know if are you gonna name the 25 to 35 or 26 to 35?
I'm sure. I mean, so it's Scola, Sam Mitchell, Anthony Johnson, Lavoy Allen, Chris Mullen, Jan Mahimny, Austin Crozier, Rodney Stuckey, A.J. Price, Orlando Johnson.
Oh, Clark Kellogg's not even on that list now?
No, again.
Wow.
Dude,
Yeah.
he played his entire career with us. He averaged 19 points a game.
Oh,
and
he was a
9.5
20 and
rebounds.
10 guy. He was amazing. But again, I never saw him play.
But he's also
Pre-era.
he has a post.
I know. Well, okay, I'll put him in the honorable mention list.
Jeez.
But he's never
It's
going to
tough
make
out
top
there,
25.
man.
Sorry.
It's tough out there.
So there are a couple things to add here. I have a category called franchise destroyers, which are banned from the list. That is Jamal Tinsley.
Banned from the list.
Banned from the list. Cannot make the list. Jamal Tinsley, Ron Artest, Steven Jackson, and Paul George. Franchise destroyer honorable mention, Marquise Daniels. he shot up a strip club, but he probably wouldn't have made the list anyway. So that's why he's an honorable mention.
Yeah.
I think Steven Jackson's
we
the
were-
one who shut up the strip club, right?
Yeah, but he
We
was
were
with them.
excited about Marquise Daniels for like a hot second.
Yeah, I was for a hot second too. There are a few players that may be coming to this list that are current players: Miles Turner, Domantas Sabonis, Bogey, Thad Young, and Kojo. I like all those guys a lot. They need to stay with the team for a little while longer and do some more things for me. But they're coming for somebody.
No Hansbros at all. on this
No.
list.
Not even close.
Yeah. But here's what I learned. So I told you I had some big reveal at the end. I made the list. I redid the list. I'm much happier with this list than I was 3 years ago. I'm very proud of it. It's what I want it to be. I then retroactively went and looked on the internet of the top players in Pacer franchise history and how many games they played in the playoffs. So 24 of my 25 top players are in the top 33 of playoff games played for the franchise. So I think we could just screw everything I said about how I feel about players and whether they came and went back and all this stuff. It's really playoff success matters to me above all else.
Yeah.
All of them, all of these 24 players had multiple playoff runs and played at least 20 games in the playoffs for the Pacers. The only exception here is Oladipo. So, but I've got a fun quiz for you. Can you name the 9 players that are not on this list that played at least 20 games in the playoffs? So there's 33 guys. I've got 24.
Austin Crozier.
Austin Crozier, number 7 in how many games he played for us, ranked 7.
So these are guys that played a bunch of playoff games that are not on your list.
Yes. So
Paul
Austin-
George.
Paul George also
Yeah.
tied at 7. Yeah. For games played in the playoffs.
How about like Chris Mullen?
Chris Mullen, 19th. Nice.
Our test.
Artest, 29th. Out of 33. So nice.
Tinsley, I guess, would be another one.
Tinsley was 21 out of 33.
Jackson.
Steven Jackson not make the list.
Really?
I think he's like 36.
Smell Daniels?
No.
Chuck Person?
No.
Roger Brown? ABA?
No.
George McGinnis?
The Chuck Person.
ABA didn't count.
Chuck
This is
Person-
just NBA.
Okay.
Joey might have mentioned one of them recently.
Jan?
Jan Mahinmi was
Oh, yeah.
17 out of 33.
How many are we up to?
So we just still have 3 left.
Oh, we did pretty good.
Yeah, you're doing great. Think
Troy Murphy?
think
They never
Brawl
made the playoffs,
era scored 40 points in a game.
Oh, Anthony.
Anthony Johnson, 24 on the list. Jason loves to do an impression of this guy.
Oh,
Oh, Evan Turner?
No.
Oh.
Hansbrough.
Hansborough. Also, yeah, Evan Turner's not on this list, but I'll take that too. He also loves that
I was
impression.
like, he wasn't on the team that long.
And the last one I'll give you is Sam Mitchell.
Smitch. Okay.
Yeah. So really, and all those guys are either on my cannot be on the list or on my honorable mention list. So
Except for Hansbrough.
right, except for Hansborough. So basically, the rule is get to the playoffs and win, and you'll get on this list.
that's just
Oh,
sports,
man.
bro.
Yep.
Yep.
You know what? Last I heard, Tyler Hansbrough was in Fort Wayne, so he might be making a little comeback stint on the Pacers.
Oh, I look forward
So
to
you-
it. You just
Well,
moved up
he's
that.
going to be back
How
on
many
the list.
Mad
He's
Ant
on the list.
playoff games to make this list?
Well, no, if he leaves and returns, you never know. Also, Sabonis, Bogey, Kojo just need 13 games under their belt this year to get to that 20 playoffs per game or 20 playoff games.
Turner needs
So
2.
all we need is a Turner. Yeah, Turner needs 2, and Thad needs 9. So I mean, if we have a long playoff run this season, these guys could just be vaulting into this list.
I mean, it's a little confusing to me that Oladipo is, what, 12?
13, yeah.
13? And Turner's not there.
I love Turner.
Behind
I'm
Ben.
ready. I'm excited. I'm excited about him. Just hadn't.
Yeah, I was surprised at the lack of current Pacers on the. I mean, Thad Young epitomizes
He
everything
does.
that you
He does
love
epitomize
about
everything that
basketball.
I love. But I haven't emotionally connected with him the way I had hoped. I don't know why that is.
I think it's him. And it's not you. Don't worry.
Come on, Thad, get with the program.
It was a long ride. It was enjoyable. I think the list has evolved. I think you're right. I think.
Isn't
that,
it better though? It's better.
It's
I think
better.
it is
It's-
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It only took me 3
It's
years.
way too high, but
figure it
yeah,
out.
other than that.
Like, I would happily trade Hibbert for Turner.
Ooh, at the A spot? I don't know about that.
Well,
If
at
if,
the-
if
at
it's
the end of
Hibbert or
next
Turner,
season,
I'm taking Turner at 8.
when we do this again in a couple seasons, that probably is going to happen. Don't you worry.
And plus, when Hibbert played under O'Brien, he wasn't even on the floor.
It's true.
Truth.
All right, so fix that, and then
Yeah.
we'll finish. The
And
show.
in fairness, I don't think we mentioned Hibbert was a bit of a transitional player in the NBA because he made the rule of verticality like a household thing. So I will give Hibbert
Right.
and our coaching staff that.
Man, he did have some sweet blocks.
I'm saying. So you talk
Playoff
about
ones,
playoff
too.
moments, the block on Carmelo Anthony that saved that
Yeah,
series.
that's
Come
great.
on, it's
Also,
memorable.
he was definitely a lovable guy because he's like, he didn't want to play basketball. He just turned out to be 7'2". And he was like, okay, I guess I'll figure out how to do this as best I can. And then the game changed around him. And
Yeah.
he was like,
And
yeah,
then
no,
he-
you can't do this anymore.
Remember, he had to bring a bed with him because he was too damn big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inflatable bed, bouncy castle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's twice in our intro.
Yes. Love Roy Hibbert. Blockosaurus Rex.
All right, maybe it's totally justified.
Thank you.
All right, it's almost the season, Joey. What are we coming up soon?
Yeah, so we've got really the season starts in I think 30 days. So we've got our shows until then. I think next week we're doing the Western Conference preview, then the Eastern Conference preview, then the Pacers preview, and then it's game time. And we get into Old Depot and Co.
It's gonna be a good
going to
season,
work.
guys.
Such a
Yeah, no.
likable team. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. They're new and improved, and it's gonna be a good year. So I'm excited to do it with you guys and get to the field house as much as we can.
Yeah, and BT Dub, shout out to the Seattle Storm,
Yep.
Yep.
WNBA champs.
All right, gentlemen. Anything else to add before we take off for the day?
Thank you for putting in the
take that.
work on that, Colson. Knowing that we were going to be ruthlessly full of vitriol about every pick you had.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
it.
you struggled through all those mistakes you made. Congratulations.
But you powered through. And that's the kind of work ethic that we're looking for to keep
Right.
you on the
Get-
top 4 undebeatables of all time list.
You're in my top 25 undebeatables of all time. Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
You've moved past
You're the
Nico for the day. So
It's a fluid list.
It's a very fluid.
It's very fluid list.
We've had lots of guests over the years. It's amazing I'm still in the top 4.
for today.
Aaron,
You put in the work.
Connie, Charlie, Greg. I mean, I could potentially be like 10.
You've bought us all of us some drinks, so I think
Yeah, no, we're happy with where you're at.
keep you
at
there
4.
for now.
We're comfortable
I
with
think,
that.
I think Nico's probably bought us more drinks than I have. So
Better
That's
drinks.
definitely I've only known Nico for like 5 years.
yeah, longevity matters, right? That helps me
Yeah,
up on this
it's
list,
true.
right?
It's
Okay.
true.
He's bringing very few but phenomenal, aged
Yeah,
beers,
sure.
and you're just chucking a brick of hams
Yeah.
at us.
Sure, but
And
I
he
show up
keeps
every
coming
week and do it.
back, which is the amazing part because
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Well, we'd like to thank you for listening. If you want to get in touch with us on the social medias, we are on Twitter. We are at Undebeatables. We're on Facebook.com/ /theundebeatables. Our website's theundebeatables.com, and there's a contact form there. You can send us a message, and if you give us a review wherever you listen, an iTunes store or wherever else, it helps new listeners find us. And we have T-shirts for sale on the website /store.
For our once and always coach, Bobby Sickleonard, now in the Hall of Fame. Turn out the lights, the party's over. Once again, shout out David West on your retirement.
Not on your top 25, Bobby Sticklener. Or Jonathan Bender.
He's not a player.
Shit. No, I know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Oh, you're going to say he's not a pacer, though?
I mean, yeah. Oh, God. The whole list is blowing up.
Oh, now you got to define pace. Now we got to go to court and define what a pacer is.
By next week, the entire list is going to be in flux.
Can Pacer podcasters make the list? I'm nominating all three of you guys. We'll see what happens. Oh, dear. All right. I will edit this nonsense because it's my fault.